That's big business. Hit town, but that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane. Make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 44 of the 10th Inning Podcast, our Hank Aaron episode. Still the true home run king, in my opinion. I don't speak for Dan, but in my opinion, I think that. As always, I'm Sean. He's Dan. What do you got for us today, Dan? Anything?
I got a folder,
UNC
Sean.
folder.
I got a folder, and the reason I have the folder here is this is my last first day of college, of education, generally speaking. This is it, man. This is all she wrote. I'm a senior. This is my last semester, graduating December, so this was hopefully my last first day.
We hope so too. We're very proud of you.
Thank you. I'm going to shut my door, but you continue. I can hear you.
All right, so we're at the point of the season where I guess you call it the dog days. We're after the All-Star break, after the trade deadline, and now teams are really showing who they are and what they're going to be for the rest of the season. And this is a nice stretch we have going here, and there's some league news that I will touch upon that greatly have an impact on how the rest of the season is going to play out. Now, the first one comes from the LA Dodgers. Dan's not going to like this one very much. Neither is anybody out on that West Coast. Walker Buehler is out for the rest of the year, getting his shoulder surgery, I believe. Yeah, shoulder. Not great, but honestly, you can look at it in one of two ways. Obviously, most people are going to look at it to negative, but there's, I believe, a positive to it, meaning he was having probably his worst year since being called up to the majors. His velocity was down. His ERA was up. His strikeouts were down, I believe, as well. So there was kind of an issue where people were kind of wondering what was going on. And, we now know that there was something bigger than just maybe a tweak or a strain or just dead arm, which could be looked at as a good thing, getting surgery out of the way, as crazy as that sounds. But Dan, what do you think? How is that going to affect the Dodgers moving down the line here?
I mean, it's another big loss, but to quote Mike Clevenger, I mean, look at the clubhouse, look at the guys we have. We haven't had him all year. I think we're a good enough team without him. I think we've shown that. That's the reason why we're 16 to almost 20 games up in the division. I love Buehler. Buehler's one of my guys. When he came up, I was like, man, this could be the next Clay type of thing, even for me personally. I didn't end up growing that attached to him, but I mean, he was I think the Cy Young favorite in the NL this year. If you looked at the sports betting odds coming out from the start, obviously a lot of people were very high on him. He made all of our top 15 pitcher lists. It's a huge loss. We've had a lot of huge pitching losses over the past, I guess, 365 days with Bauer. Obviously, we quote unquote lost Scherzer. He left us in the playoffs, and then obviously went to the Mets. Clayton is obviously injured again. But listen, right now, I mean, I'm comfortable going into a series with Julio as my one. I don't even think that's the case at this point, but Julio and Tony, forgetting someone. Obviously, Tyler Anderson's had a renaissance year. The Dodgers have really fixed him up. And I don't want to forget, Dustin May just had an immaculate inning and 9 strikeouts in like 4 innings that he just pitched at AAA the other day, back thrown over 102. It's like 16 months now since he's had that Tommy John surgery. He looks like he's ready to go. He looks like he's ready for a full workload, and he'll be fresh. I mean, he'll be a fresh arm added. So the potential loss of Buehler with the gain of May, I mean, I know it's probably a hot take, but I actually view them as comparable pitchers as far as stuff wise and like what I trust in. Buehler, obviously, he's a big game pitcher. He's never the one thing I'll say about Buehler is he's pitched in the playoffs extremely well. It has not affected him whatsoever, but I trust Dustin May. Dustin May is crazy. I mean, his stuff is. We saw him in a relief role a couple of years, and I mean, he's crazy. He could be an ace in a couple of years for sure.
Yeah. Walker Buehler is great on those Car Shield commercials, if anybody's seen them.
Yes.
Tight pants that won't be
Tight
seen for a while. I'm not sure. I think it's too early to have a table for how long he will be out for. Hopefully, it won't run here. And this is maybe a good thing now to get it out of the way because we saw Luis Severino years ago with the Yankees. kept saying he was fine, and then come spring training, realized it was an issue that required surgery, and he lost a whole year because of it.
Yeah,
So you
starting to get
want
out
to be
now.
active and do what you can. But the Dodgers, as crazy as it sounds, they always seem to find a way to overcome it. Any kind of issue, injury, anything like that. But like you said, people forget what they lost. I mean, Trevor Bauer obviously out the window. Kershaw's been injured on and off this year. Bueller's out, and they've relied on some guys like Gonsolin and I'm forgetting the name of the guy you just mentioned.
Urias and Dustin May. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's the
Oh,
who's
Tyler
the guy?
Anderson. Tyler
Tyler
Anderson's
Anderson.
been great. Andrew Heaney has been injured for a lot of the year, but he's got a sub 1.5 ERA in the innings he's pitched. Heaney's been, a revelation in the short amount of innings he's pitched. But Doc is, as Dave does, keeps him basically like 75 pitches over 4 innings. He's not an opener, but he's not a starter either. He goes like four to
Yeah,
five innings. But he's like a 1.15 ERA. I think he's pitching tonight actually. Um, we got arms still. It's just tough. But like you
yeah.
said, you think about what we
Yeah,
lost.
the Yankee legend.
I'm sorry. Continue. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Just said he is a Yankee legend. I think my Wi-Fi just froze a bit
Yes,
there. My
Yankee
apologies.
legend. But like you said, what we lost. When you think about Bauer, Scherzer, and Kershaw, just in the last 365, and now Bueller, we're talking about, I would say, 70% of the last 10 NL Cy Youngs is in that
Yeah,
group, right? With Scherzer, Kershaw, and Bauer. Like, who
yeah,
else in the last 10 years has won an NL Cy Young? And then you had this year's favorite and Bueller go down. So, I mean, that's not, it's nothing to sneer at the losses we've had, but uh, I think the fact that we're still okay is a good sign of the organization.
yeah. The next topic I want to talk about, obviously, if you don't live under a rock, you've seen it. Fernando Tatis suspended 80 games for performance-enhancing drugs. You hate to see that, but what was even worse was the claim and the story that his team put out there on why he got suspended, why he tested positive. Said they had a ringworm, and that was prescribed to him to fight ringworm. Only the issue is there's a drug, it's cholesterol, something. That's what he tested positive for. The drug to treat ringworm is very similarly spelled and pronounced, but not the same thing. Uh, really bad. I guess you want to say. You're lying, obviously, and people, even if people wouldn't believe it, but you get called today. Fernando Tatis Senior, the father, said that he was being prescribed that steroid or that medicine because he got fungus from a haircut. Yeah, that's quite an interesting story, um, and says that he is not his son's fault. Then you get into the aspect of the team, as you mentioned before, Clevenger basically saying that he hasn't been here all year. He's put himself before the team. I mean, he injured both his wrists riding a motorcycle, which he's not supposed to do. That's not what you're doing. Machado also said something along those lines, which is interesting because Machado and him, when they first came up, seemed to be buddies. And last year they had a bit of a shouting match in the dugout. So maybe there's some underlying stuff with Tatis getting under some of his teammates' skin. I don't know, but it was interesting to hear what the teammates say that along those lines of we don't need him. We've gotten to this point, and we hope that he changes and learns from this. So I'll say he's 23 years old, and he was being marketed as one of the next faces of baseball with Soto, Acuna, Otani, Devers, those types of guys in that ilk.
Yeah.
So it's a blow for him, the Padres, but honestly, maybe more importantly for baseball. They were really marketing him. He's all over. I'm sure they'll be coming down pretty soon. But he's a really marketable guy. He's a flashy, exciting player, and this coming up, it hurts him. And I think down the line, he was on a track potentially to be a Hall of Famer. I know it's early, but this would hurt his chances down the line. Good look for the sport, and no one wins in this situation.
No, no one wins. I mean, there's a couple ways I want to go about it. First off, I'm gonna get the not as serious note out because I just have to get this out first because this is a serious topic for me. The not serious part is that I did win. I won because I feel like it's not so hot. My self-awareness take for the Padres. I mean, how do you make a trade for Soto and not know what your 23-year-old superstar is doing? I mean, how do you? I mean, how do you? You just poor self-awareness within your organization. You don't even know what your superstar is doing. Um, and just going back to how many times we've talked about this on the podcast, how much character matters. You know, it's all coming to fruition here. Character, in my opinion, is damn near the most important thing that I take into account when I'm thinking about whether I want a player on my team long term. Drafting, scout. I mean, like it's just, and I'm not saying Tatis is a bad person. Um, but we're going to talk about a little later with Acuna. I've had issues with Acuna's attitude towards the game as well. He even said something about the home run derby. You know, I would be nervous giving Tatis and Acuna money. They already have. It's not like they haven't. But you really just got to know the person that you're dealing with. Um, it's just really sad to see. It's just so much talent. On a more serious note, like you said, I mean, like he's the cover of the show.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's kind of the guy that MLB wanted to highlight because, like Trout, Soto isn't. I mean, Soto's more marketable than Trout for sure, and MLB's tried to market Soto, but he's not as flashy as Tatis. Tatis is the exciting guy. He throws 100 miles an hour at short. He makes crazy plays. He's diving all over the place. You know, he's bat flipping, and that's amazing to watch. But like, how do you have your rising superstar cover of the show? He's now a PED user. He was cheating. I mean, the position, it's really like when I came out, I almost cried as just as someone who wants to work in baseball. It was like the worst thing that could happen. This is like if LeBron James came out as he's been on drugs his whole career. Like it just strips everything away. I'm not saying Tatis is like LeBron to the sport, but when you're trying to grow a sport that's dwindling, having the guy you're marketing. I mean, kids are buying Tatis jerseys. Kids are buying Tatis cards. Now this guy probably
Yeah.
can't even make the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's all his whole career. You know, it's such a stain. It's just so unfortunate, and you don't even know how to feel, and it just puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. Of like, okay, well, who else is? Who do I not want to get attached to now because I don't want to get hurt?
Yeah.
I've been there as a kid. This happened to me as a kid. You know this happened to me. We're talking lunchboxes, Sean. A-Rod was
Three
my favorite
times.
player in the whole world. A-Rod was my favorite player. I would have done anything. I had the jersey and I watched him. I watched games just to watch him. And then to find out your hero is on, stuff. I mean, it's heartbreaking for kids. Heartbreaking for adults. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just these are the people, even men. These are the people that men idolize. And I don't know. I'll get off the soapbox. It's just he's 23. He's a child, so I get it. People make mistakes, but this is like smoking in 2022. Like everyone knows now. Everyone knows the risks. Everyone knows you're going to get caught. No one gets away with it. This is not, the steroid era when everyone thinks it's okay. You know better. You
Yeah.
know so much better. You already have been given $350 million. You can get the best training, the best doctors, the best whatever. You have access to everything in the world you could possibly need. I mean, superstar athletes like LeBron spend $100 million a year on his fucking health or whatever it is. You have the access to anything you need. It's just so unnecessary when you're given so much God-given talent.
Yeah. Again, I'm killed that I took him first overall in the Dynasty League ahead of Juan Soto and Acuna, and everybody else continues to just look worse and worse with each passing day. But what this, I don't even know if there's anything quite to this level where you've had a player get busted for PEDs. The only thing I can think of is Ryan Braun. But he was a bit older and he was a good player, but he didn't have the ceiling that Tatis had. Brian was a very good player, a real jerk. But
Right after
that's
he won
beside the
MVP, right?
point. Another, yeah, and then he got busted twice. The first time he got out of it on a technicality and basically ruined the career of someone who was in a drug testing system who he claimed didn't do something
Yeah.
right when it was a very minor, minuscule thing, and the guy got fired. And then, of course, test positive the next year.
Yeah.
Which that's not great, obviously. But the Padres, from their perspective, he breaks his wrist riding a motorcycle.
Which
Doesn't tell the
accident?
team what. Oh yeah, yeah. No, he does not tell the team. They find out on spring training when his wrists are shot. Then he gets suspended for PEDs after what, a year since signing his massive contract. If I'm the Padres, there's got to be some way you can void some of that money or that contract. The Mets did that with Cespedes when his injuries, because those injuries are non-baseball related. The suspension, there's got to be some sort of clause, and I'm not sure how that all that works. I don't think he gets paid for the duration of the suspension. But if I'm the Padres, I'm looking at any way possible to get out of this contract, or at least shorten it, or knock some money off it, because who's to say that he's not a good player or not anywhere close to what he is? I think he's a very good player, but who knows how long he's been taking the performance enhancing drugs? You just don't know. And the Padres have a lot of money invested in him. I mean, they have one of the highest payrolls in baseball they're going to, and they're the top or lower third of TV revenue, and just it's a small market team. It's just the Padres are caught in a real difficult spot right now. They went from being on the high of trading for Soto to lowest of lows. Their cornerstone player being tested positive for performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, and I mean, not only like are you going to be the same player anymore, but it's like, do we want to invite that back into the clubhouse? Because now it's like you clearly are not a team player, and you're our franchise player, and you're risking your life riding motorcycles out of contract, getting tested with steroids. It's like, how can we trust you? Like, if we build around you, you're our shortstop, we give you all this money. How do we know come playoff time next year you're not going to test positive again and we're going to be screwed? Because now we didn't get a shortstop at the deadline. We're not prepared, to move
Yeah,
forward without you. It's just, I don't know.
it's not a good situation for baseball or anybody at all. So, wow, we're really going in on this topic. I like it. This is what I wanted to do. I was curious to hear your thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
It's interesting. To go back to the Padres, since acquiring Soto, they had a bit of a scuffle or a slide. They didn't score for 20 innings. They got swept by the Dodgers. I think they lost their first 5 games after the trade. They've since rebounded a bit. I would have said that was the worst thing that happened to him in this past week or so. But as we just discussed, it isn't. It goes to show you how much the differences in the talent level between the Dodgers and the Padres, which is crazy, because I still think everybody was betting on the Padres once that trade went down. But the Dodgers in that division just have it figured out. They've been there before. And you always wanted to put your money on a team that has veterans and knows how to encounter situations like that. So
Yeah.
just thought it was Padres are going to Padre. Put it that way.
Again, my thoughts at the deadline came to fruition. Know what you have, even with the addition of Soto and Bell. As great as Soto and Bell are, and everyone knows I love them, you were not Soto and Bell away from the Dodgers. And I bet sure as hell you'd like to have C.J. Abrams who's short right now instead of Fernando Tatis Jr. You had your next great shortstop right in your organization, and now he's over in Washington. And you could have just had Robert Hassel probably in the next couple of years, who, could have been not Soto, but whatever. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, man, those 5 Padre fans out there got to be pretty upset.
I'm sure they are.
Also, I get to the Yankees here. Joey Gallo was just the spark plug for the Yankees' success this year, and ever since he left, they just can't win. Now the Dodgers can't lose. Kind of interesting though. I saw a stat, as stupid as it is, that in games Joey Gallo played, the Yankees had some ridiculous record. In the games he didn't play, they were, I think, at 500. And now the Dodgers have, I don't think they've lost yet since acquiring him, or they've lost once maybe. which is just bizarre because he did nothing for the Yankees. But with the Dodgers, he actually had an opposite field hit in his first hit with the team, and then an Oppo Taco home run. I don't know
got
what to
no
say.
comment. I got no comment, man. Maybe he's got some underlying something. There's got to be something in there, something that we can't quantify or even see with our eyes. There's got to be something he's doing out there. I was
Yeah.
watching his first opposite field hit. I was watching live. I threw it up on Snapchat. I was so shocked. The announcers were in shock. Um, God bless Joey Gallo. I hope the best for him, obviously. I hope he hits a big playoff homer this year.
Yeah. I also want to just give a quick, I guess, rest in peace to Vin Scully.
Oh, Sean, you don't know what that did to me.
Yeah.
That
I don't think we discussed. I think he passed after our last episode, right?
he, yeah, it was at the trade deadline. He passed that day, the deadline day. So we didn't. We haven't had a weekly recap episode since
Yeah.
then. We just discussed the deadline. But yeah, if I could have a minute just to say my piece. I mean, this guy when I saw the news, I was like, again, I think I did cry when I went home, to be honest with you. I did shed a tear for Vin. Vin was my voice of baseball growing up. Like when I think of Clayton Kershaw, it's Vin Scully calling the game. Like there is no better announcer ever. There just isn't. You can't tell me different. When he retired, I was in shambles. Listening, like when I get to 75 or 80, Sean, and I don't know anything anymore, I just want someone to play Vince Scully called Clayton Kershaw games. Clayton from 2011 to 2014-15, just reruns. Because that's like the happiest time of my life. Um, he could say or do no wrong, the smoothest, the best voice in the business. And I mean, I think you could tell just by how much support that he got when he passed, how much people really loved him. I frequently go back and watch Clayton's no hitter, Vin Scully calling every out of it. I mean, it's just
One miserable, measly out to go.
Uncle Charlie. I mean, he's just the greatest. Yeah, no, it's I don't even know what to say. I was really shocked by that. I mean, not obviously he was older, but it was very tough to see.
He retired in 2016. I felt like he just retired like a year or two ago. I didn't realize it's been that long.
Yeah, it had been a little while. I was actually thinking back because, like, again, most of my childhood was watching Vin Scully with Clayton. I was like, man, if you really look at it, I bet you there's some crazy stats out there of like games, Vin Scully called when Kershaw's pitching versus games Vin Scully hasn't called when Kershaw's pitching. Obviously, it lines up with Kershaw's, slow decline as a normal person would age. But I bet you the stats are pretty jarring. I bet you, like, ever since Scully retired, Clayton has been
Yeah.
not hot garbage, but a lot worse than he was.
Yeah. It's interesting to say. But anyway, back to just the Yankees. They're not looking great right now, but I think people are overreacting. I think it's natural when it comes to New Yorkers and Yankee fans in general. They're going to win the division. The Blue Jays are also not doing too hot, so they're not really gaining any ground. Every team goes through times like this, and I think they'll recover. However, I think it's showing their holes. Their lineup really isn't that good. Um, they relied on Connor Fluff the other day to knock all 3 runs in and hit a home run, which is something he hasn't done in a long time. Stanton's obviously injured, but as I've said from the beginning, I don't think their lineup is that deep. Glaber has cooled off after a hot start to the year. The pitching has also cooled off a bit, although not to that degree as the hitting. And I don't know. They'll get out, like I said, but they do have some holes that I guess they're gonna have to try and get around.
Yeah. Not that it pertains to this, but I like the Mets more at this point. I think the Mets are better built for a championship run than the Yankees, in my personal opinion. I think Judge is carrying a lot of weight. I mean, I know there's some other players, everyone does their part on the Yankees. It's definitely a championship contending team this year. especially in my opinion. I think the pitching is really good, but I don't know. Just watching the Mets play, they're more complete. 1 through 9, they're just a more complete team. Tougher to get
Yeah.
out. I don't think they have like. I think we're more top heavy, but I think the Mets as a lineup is tougher to get through.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, the Mets have Alonso, but he's nowhere near the ability of Judge this year. And
Right.
if Judge were to, God forbid, get hurt somehow,
Which wouldn't be shocking.
that lineup would be absolutely in shambles.
Right.
Um,
Which is what I fear as far as
you know,
playoff series.
I yeah, and I think that if honestly, if the Yankees don't make the World Series this year, Brian Cashman's job is in jeopardy. Since they have really achieved success to the level the Yankees are used to achieving, and he has not exactly done well bringing pitchers when needed. He spent the money on pitchers, but that's never really been one of his strong suits, at least from the outside looking in.
Yeah. No, it's listen. Once he let Didi walk, I was done with Brian Cashman.
He hasn't brought him back yet either.
No, which is wild because he's sitting out there. Somebody's got to pick up Didi. He can't go. He's Didi fucking Gregorius, Sean. You're gonna tell me no one wants
Yeah.
Didi?
I,
As a vet off the bench,
it's clutch.
clutch lefty, who's played in the biggest moments and succeeded. You are
Yeah.
telling me who could probably play multiple middle infield spots at this point? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that it for league news?
I got a little bit more.
I'll keep
Let's go a
going.
little long today. I don't mean to
No,
drag it on.
no, that's
Some
good.
news that broke today: the Texas Rangers fired Chris Woodward, who's been the manager of the
Right.
Rangers for I think the last 4 years, 3 years maybe. The COVID year kind of screws things up for me. I forget, but I think that given their lack of success this year after expectations, it's not a shocker, and they haven't exactly been good in the past couple of years. Now that they've had a good team. I find the timing of it a bit odd. It's almost too late in the season to really give him a jolt by firing the manager.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they could have just waited to the off season or done it sooner if they really were considering it. Either way, Rangers they just need to hire Ron Washington again. I think that's just it comes down to that.
Amen. I got nothing else to say to that, but amen. They absolutely do. Ronnie Dubs. Get him back.
Absolutely. Speaking of Ron Washington, we had the luxury of watching him coach third base at the Mets Braves game last Sunday.
That's right.
Jacob deGrom pitched. It was probably the hottest I've ever been in my life for an extended period of time.
It was a warm one out there.
It was very warm. My Waffles ice cream was liquid by the time the lady handed it over the counter to me.
That's right. It was.
It was fantastic, by the way.
Oh,
if anybody goes to see Waffles ice cream, it's definitely worth it.
But just go upstairs. Don't go to the cart. Go all the way up to like the 500 section. It's just so much easier there. They got a whole
absolutely. It was fantastic. I think this year. And just to finish off the league news, Daniel Vogelbach. Enough said.
That's it. That's all you got to say. Man, myth, legend. Moving on to my stats for the week, Sean. As you guys, you might not know, I'm in North Carolina. So here I am. I am no longer in New York, which means my Butcher season come to a close. The men's team did not have a game last week because it was the week. You got a bye week in between regular season and playoffs. Obviously, it won't be there for the playoffs, which is unfortunate. Playoffs will be this Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. If for some reason you're in the Long Island area, you want to go by and support your local Long Island Butchers. We did have a co-ed because we had some rainouts this season on Wednesdays. So I did play in co-ed. On 5 for 6, Sean, a double, 4 runs and 6 RBIs. Just doing what I do. You know what I mean? Getting on base. 14 innings pitched, 8 walks, which wasn't great, with 7 Ks, but we did come away with a win. We had a decent day there, Sean. 5 for 6 at the plate. Not a lot of power, just with the double. We got it done on the mound. How do you feel about my performance?
I think it was a solid way to close out the season.
Yeah,
Get you looking forward to next year and new and improved, bigger and better. King Kersh will be back next year with the Butchers.
I appreciate that, guys. As I go through my stats, maybe next episode, I'll give you my full year stats for both teams. But I do have some exciting news for you, Sean. As the Butchers take the field for their playoff game on Tuesday at 8:30, I will yet again. I mean, it's Tuesday night. I'll be on the mound at 8:30 with them, just from North Carolina. That's right. I've just been picked up by the Durham County Crimson Hot Dogs. I will be on the bump Tuesday night, Thursdays now, 2 times a week again. So the fall season starts. We got season debut in 2 days, Sean. I'm back on the mound. I just threw probably 300 something innings over the summer, and we're no weeks off. It's like I'm just going straight into it. Regular season ended Tuesday, season debut Tuesday. Crimson Hot Dogs. I'm ready to go. Who's excited?
You're amazing.
So King Stats of the week for everyone who's getting concerned. We'll be back next week. Don't worry about it.
You had me going there for a second. I was about to get a little upset, and now you just brought my mood right back up.
There you go. Our picks to click on. This is like from 3 weeks ago at this point, just because we've had some special episodes and the weekly recaps have gone by the wayside. John Birdie had led the league with 28 bags. Aaron Judge led the league with 37 bombs. I think he's at 45 at this point. It's something crazy. Again, it's not been that long. It's just Judge really does the thing. Does Birdie get to 30 bases before Judge gets to 40? You said Judge. I said Birdie. The obvious answer would have been Judge. He clearly got to 40 before Birdie got to 30. So that's the point for you. Thank you. McClanahan, Alcantara, and Verlander were under a 2 ERA at that point. Over under set at 2, still had a sub 2 ERA at the end of that week. Sean, you said over the 2. I said under. It was exactly 2. It was the push. So no one got a point there. Soto will be traded by the end of the week, the 31st. If so, to who? I said yes, and to the Rays. Sean, you said no, and then to the Dodgers. The answer was no. So Sean, you got another point there. Wrapping the week up at 2-0 Sean, and shrinking the league right back down to Sean 21, Dan 22. Sean, the 3-run lead erased, now down to just 1. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like I'm getting hot at the right spot. You want to be hot as you go into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling good about my squad. None of them are drug users, performance enhancing drugs. I test them vigilantly, and I'm feeling good.
That's beautiful to hear. Yeah, I feel good too. We got a 1 red lead going into the latter half of the season, and I'm not even worried about holding it right now. We're going to keep playing good ball. We had a great home run derby, and we're going to pick it up again this week. I got some good picks to clicks for us. Moving on to my hitter highlight, Sean. Coming in this week, the St. Louis Cardinal. Would you like to guess who it is?
St. Louis Cardinal, you said?
Yep.
Albert Pujols with 2 dingers the other day.
Good guess. It's Nolan Arenado, though. He went 10 for 25 this week, Sean. He hit 400, 7 runs, 3 doubles, 4 ding-dongs, and 10 ribeye steaks. He's got a 92% K percentage, not 90% of the bats, percentile for strikeout rate, meaning he does not strike out a lot, which is wonderful. His strikeout rate, Sean, would you like to guess what it is?
8%?
13.2. I wish 92 percentile would be 8%, but unfortunately, we don't live in that league.
Yeah, I think I was thinking maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, I wish, Sean. I'm with you. I understand where you're coming from. And more importantly, 99 percentile in outs above average. The man could field. He's getting older, and he's still just filthy with the glove work. We're talking the Aaron Judge percentile of fielding. Something I do want to talk about, though, Sean. 300 batting average this year. 262 expected batting average. 564 slugging, and a 450 expected slugging. So obviously his expected stats are a lot lower than his actual stats, having a little bit of a Coors situation go out in St. Louis, which got me thinking because those were traditionally very similar to his expected to uh, actual performance. He's hit 300 a bunch of years. His expected batting average has never really been over 260. And a lot of people contribute that to Coors, but he's kind of having that same season now in St. Louis. And remember, this is really only his second full season. So has he gotten used to it, and is he just a guy who outperforms his expected stats? Quite possibly. Uh, I mean, either he's going to come down to earth really hard the rest of the season and the rest of his career, or expected stats just don't apply to Nolan Arenado, and there's a good shot they don't. Moving on, Sean, do you have a hitter highlight this week?
I hope they don't. I do, and to continue with our San Diego Padres team, Manny Machado, who
Okay.
I believe has matured quite a bit over the past couple of years, including with his statements about his teammates, Fernando Tatis Jr. Had a massive walk-off home run for the Padres the other day. I forget who they were playing, but he had called it, I believe, the night before, the day of, backed it up, which to his credit, that's a lot to do. Little Babe Ruth moment, not really, but sort of. This week, in about 28 at bats, he had a 429 average, 2 home runs, and 10 RBIs. So you really can't ask for a better week than that. He's had a really good bounce back year after signing that contract with the Padres. He struggled the first, I wouldn't say struggled, underperformed a bit the first, I guess, 3 years of that deal. But this year has taken a huge step forward and has really been the leader in carrying the offense of the team. And that kills me to say because I'm really not a big Machado guy, but I got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, he is Manny fucking Machado at the end of the day. Unfortunately, that is who he is. My pitcher highlight this week, Sean, is a guy by the name of Cal Quantrill. Okay, a guy I traded in a package deal with Tyler Mahle this offseason to get Clayton Kershaw, who, interestingly enough, I traded for back. Tyler Mahle, now a new red hot big trade deadline acquisition. We might even talk about that a little later. He went 2-0 this week, Sean, 13 innings pitched. As you can note, that is one less than the max. 4 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 11 Ks. The big thing, Sean, no earned over 13 against Houston and Toronto. Now that is a couple of performances there. We're talking about 2 of the best offenses in the league. His ERA is 3.67. His expected ERA is 4.44. Last year's ERA was 2.86, and last year's expected ERA was 4.06. We might have this is kind of the same vibe with Nolan Arenado. That's why I picked these 2 today. Guys that have consistently kind of overperformed their expected stats. Maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I'm going to keep digging to see if I can find a correlation. His expected batting average, though, Sean, and his expected slugging are almost identical to batting average against and slugging against. So I don't really know what's going into the fact that his expected stats are so much higher. Because what I would imagine is the big thing that's going to go into what your expected ERA is the expected batting average against your pitches. But they're pretty much all in line. We're talking about over 900 pitches. The batting average on his sinker is 270. Expected is 271. Slugging 427, expected 425. And this is the same. They're all pretty much within, a tiny amount of variance, 0.05, which is obviously more than fair enough as a variance as far as expected and actual performance. So I'm not really sure why he's overperforming. I think he should be performing at expectations, but for some reason, the stats say he should be doing worse, and he hasn't been. So again, I hope it's a Nolan Arenado situation. I hope that he is just he's a guy who overperforms expected.
I sense a theme with your picks today.
A little bit of a theme. A little bit of a theme.
Yeah, you didn't think I'd notice, but I noticed.
I appreciate it.
I noticed. Um, I noticed you have Ronald Acuna behind you.
I do.
I have a pick, my pitcher of the week, but did you want to talk about him during the weekly news, or are you saving him for later?
He's getting the biggest segment for me today. He
Okay.
is my hitter to watch, and it's not all cherries and roses, unfortunately, for Ronald today. I don't have a
Okay.
bone to pick with him, but I have a little bit of a hot.
Okay. I'll give you my pitcher of the week, and I'll let you have the floor. I just wanted to make sure we got to Acuna
I
because
appreciate.
everybody knows how I feel about him. My pitcher of the week from the New York Mets, New York's team, Chris Bassett.
Almost traded for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was between because I had to pay up a little bit more for Tyler Molly. I'll discuss the trade later, but Visa, who took over Barber's team, I was looking at getting Wheeler and some other more established arms, but there's something about Bassett's been doing well lately and a little bit under the radar. Older, I think 34, and I can get him for pretty cheap. But I ended up springing for Tyler Molly because he came with the insurance of Kyle Schwarber, which I really needed with Muncy really doing poorly. And I gotta say, shout out to if anyone's watching this, you guys all messed up because Muncy was on the block for a second round draft pick to almost every team. Almost every team said no, and Muncy has gone absolutely nuclear since the deadline. He's hit like 5 homers. He's hitting over 400. You guys fucked up. You all fucked up. You could have had Max. Second round pick, people saying no. And listen, he's hitting 130. I get it, but I mean, he's a good ball player.
He's hitting 130. I thought you were supposed to be Mr. Batting Average over here. Um, anyway, Chris Bassett, he had a good start to the season, then had a little bit of a downfall in the middle of it, and now starting to get hot again. This past week, he had through 13 innings, did not give up a run in 13 innings, which was fantastic. Uh, excuse me. Strikeouts had 13. I'm having a little trouble talking right now. I apologize. Where did stats go? Only 3 walks. I lost the rest of the stats. I apologize. He had a great week.
I believe you.
Yeah. No,
I believe you.
Yeah.
What does it matter? I have a minor league highlight for the week, as per the usual, and it's a recent trade person here. We got Noelvi Marte, again another red hot. I'm trying not to be biased here. I just do have a lot of the best prospects on my
A
team.
lot of bias over here.
I got a lot of mental issues over here with the prospects. Shortstop, number 17 overall, showing number 1 for the Reds now. Obviously, was with the Mariners in the Luis Castillo trade. Excuse the burp. Top 10 prospect last year. He's had a struggle a little bit earlier this season. He started to bounce back now, but he did get dropped in the power rankings for prospects down to 17. Just to go over his tools, he's got a 30 out of 45. I'm sorry. Tools are out of 80, just for anyone who doesn't know. And the first grade is what they're currently at. The second grade is what they are projected to be at their peak whenever they get to the majors. 30-45 for hit, 35-60 for power, 55-70 for raw power, excuse the burp, 60-55 for speed, 40-50 for fielding, and a 60 overall future value. Again, this is one of the guys that's supposed to be an amazing prospect in the MLB. I think Cincinnati got a real star here. He struggled to start the year, as I said, but now his numbers are pretty much around career norms. The one thing I will say, he's always been pretty young for his level, but I'd like to see him move up now. He's still in high A now that I think he's 20 now, and I'd like to see him, I guess, just get to at least double A at this point. Because if he's going to be the young superstar that a lot of people hoped he would be, this power speed threat, he's kind of got to, progress a little faster. I think sometimes we forget that obviously you don't want to rush players, we're talking about superstars, and people say this prospect's going to be a superstar. Real superstars are in the bigs at 2021, not at high A. You're going to talk about Acuna, Soto, Harper, Trout, Machado, Devers, Julio Rodriguez. These guys are doing that in the bigs at 20. All those players come up at 19 or 20 years old. So I don't know. I would just like to see him in Double A at this point. Basically, what I'm saying. He's hitting 280 with, I believe. Let me look it up here, Sean. I'm gonna look it up for you guys because I don't want to lie to you. What his stats are. And while I do this, well, no, it's gonna be pulled up here anyway. Let's see. He is hitting 271 with a 357 on base. His career stats is 281 with a 364. So he's got his stats right back up to career norms. 17 bombs and 15 bags. He's a great power speed guy. I want to see him move. I want to see him move out of high A at 20 years old. That's my take. But as per the usual, Sean, I will give you guys a little bit of a video. And the last thing I will say, I forgot in my notes. Great person. Okay, harken back to the Tatis situation. Watched a lot of interviews with this guy. Speaks only Spanish, but him and Julio Rodriguez, best friends, and they are adorable together. Okay, we're talking DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry type adorable. And everything I've seen from him is just he works really hard and he's a great person. And I don't have to tell you, Sean, how much that means to me as far as a prospect and what I think about their future. Here's a little highlight of him going to dead center on an outside pitch.
And the 50-50 pot is only 2,100, huh?
That's high A. He's got to be in a more competitive game, Sean. Great graphics for high A, though.
Yeah, what high A stadium is that?
Cincinnati Reds. This was his first game with them, I think. I wonder if they're going to replay this homer. I don't know. If not, you get to see his face a little bit. That's what he looks like, number 10. Here we go. We'll get a nice little replay. A little high and outside fastball. And he definitely demolishes it. I'll say that. So that is Noel V. Marte. Again, good person. I think we're going to harken back to how much that matters yet again in this episode when I talk about Ronald Acuna Jr. Moving over to players to watch. I had said Brian Mountcastle, Sean. He struggled, and I did have to drop him. Unfortunately, he did not keep it up, so I was wrong. Tyler Mahle, though, almost won Pitcher of the Week last week. His ERA is down to 4.28. Now on my fantasy team again. Welcome home, as I said. The Quantrill and Mahle for Kershaw in the offseason. I traded back for him. I traded Mahle and Kyle Schwarber. I traded for them for Jesus Luzardo, Chris Sale, Alex Verdugo, and Jack Leiter. Sean, I think it's to speak to you about it. How did you feel about that trade? Pretty big trade.
I like it.
Okay. Who do you like? You like my side better? You think I won that one?
Yeah. Could you give me all the specifics again? Because I know the big names, but some of the.
Yeah. So I got Mahle and Schwarber, and Cal got Jesus Luzardo, Christopher Sale, Alex Verdugo, and Jack Leiter, the Rangers pitching prospect.
Yeah, I like yours a lot better.
Okay. You don't like prospects. What did you say?
People are, first of all, Verdugo, people are high on him, but I don't know if I'm as high on him as other people. Leiter is a ways away.
Yeah.
And Chris Sale. Man,
Chris Sale was prior to the next injury, thankfully.
Did you have some insider information? Were you the one he crashed his bike into?
I did not have the insider. The insider he's been on my IL since I drafted him in 2020. And I've had enough. Luzardo has outpitched Mahle since I've traded him, which I love to see out of a 24-year-old lefty. But I do think for the playoff run, I definitely won. But hopefully for Cal, who's not competitive this year or probably not next year, he will hopefully get enough value long term. Julio Chassin, I said to watch out for him last week, Sean. He pitched in classic fashion the last couple of weeks, pitched 1.2 innings, and then got injured. Every guy I've said to watch out for in the last month has got injured. With
Oh boy.
Sean, I need you to look this up for me. Toe sesamitis. I've specifically not looked up what this injury is because I wanted to learn on the podcast.
What is it? Toe what?
Sesamoi.
It popped up.
What is toe sesamitis?
Well,
Is it turf toe?
it's inflammation of the sesamoid bones in the ball of the foot and the tendons they are embedded in. Usually caused by overuse, especially by dancers, runners, and athletes who frequently bear weight on the balls of their feet. It's stress anti-inflammatory medicine. It's a kind of tendinitis.
Well, Julio Chassin got toe sesamitis. Innings, an inning and 2/3 after I said he's going to break out. So congratulations to Julio. This week's though, Sean, I don't have a pitcher to watch. I just have one player to watch, and that's the hitter. And that hitter's Ronald Acuna Jr.
Well, here we go.
Okay, so first thing I'll talk about is not so much with the average, but with the slugging. Acuna is certainly underperforming. Okay, the first half of this is, of course, going to be. I do think he's a better to watch. I think he's got better days coming, better days ahead for Ronald Acuna this season. We talk about it. Oh, I lost. There it is. He's got a 273 batting average, Sean. 276 expected batting average. So you're saying that's about what it should be. A 412 slugging, though, Sean, when we know Ronald Acuna is not a 412 slugging guy, with a 490 expected slugging. So he's getting robbed of some ding-dongs this year. He's got 10 homers in 80 games. Last year, he had 24 in 82. That's the Ronald Acuna Jr. we're talking about. We're talking about a 40-40 guy. The power has just been gone. A lot of people have chalked it up to injury. I'm frankly chalking it up to luck. He's hitting the ball just as hard, and he's just not getting the results from it. His expected slugging is much higher. In almost every other ballpark, Sean, he'd have at least 15 right now. 5 more homers. Something else to look at, his walk rate is really down. He has a 9.8 walk rate this year, Sean. Last year, 13.8, and the year before, 18.8. In similar sample sizes. Again, he hasn't played a full year in 3 years because he had the COVID, and then last year he had the injury. So it's similar sample sizes in all 3 years. Yeah, he was like a 15% walk rate guy down to 8 this year. 9.8. So a little bit interesting there. He's swinging away. Something we talked about earlier in the season. Guys are not walking as much; they're just swinging more. Possibly similar with Acuna. Something I do want to talk about going to the negative side. I think his defense has been overrated his whole career, but he's playing extremely poorly. We're talking 9th in outs above average, Sean. 9%, 9th percentile. That's really bad. That means 91% of players are playing better than Ronald Acuna Jr. And in his position, guys like Teoscar Hernandez, Sean, are playing better than him. There's only 2 right fielders having worse defensive seasons. I forget the other one, but the other guy's Juan Soto. He still hits the ball extremely hard, and he still has superstar talent, obviously. But Sean, I'm concerned with his attitude, and I'm concerned with his passion for the game. Just going to come right out and say it. The home run derby, just some examples here. I've said this like 5 times now, and I know you kind of agree with me. Watching him participate, he wasn't even interested. I mean, he just didn't. It's not that he didn't play well or perform well, which he didn't, which is fine. People have bad home run derbies. He was up there like he is one of the most electric guys in the entire league. Someone we could really market around. He looked like he was forced to be there. And wrap this around your. This is a guy who's injured, right? Like he just had a huge knee injury. If he was not ready to play, if he was not 110% healthy, no way in hell the Atlanta Braves let him play a home run derby. If players are even a quarter injured, they won't let him play. If players are even injury prone like Judge, they won't let him play. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they would never let him play if he wasn't able to. So that means he just really was not interested. He wasn't just dogging it, which is interesting to me. And since then, he's had a lot of nagging injuries the last couple of weeks. I mean, he's been out of games. I have him on fantasy roster. Obviously, we had this issue. Ended up going into the game. You
Yeah.
can't say, "Oh, I'm just feeling sore. I'm not really feeling like it." That's when the reports have been. They're not saying it straight out, but it's being like general soreness, stuff like that. He ended up pinch hitting in our game 2 at bats. He was fine. Like he was
Almost
perfectly
hit a home
fine.
run.
It just seems like he's been not interested. He's having a lot of net. Mark Teixeira, Kobe Ellsbury, those Yankees nagging injuries, aka I don't really feel like playing. Leading into my hot take for the week, Sean, I think Acuna is not happy in Atlanta, and I think this is going to become a huge conversation this offseason. I don't think anyone's talking about it yet. There's not been any reports come out whatsoever. This is completely my opinion. Uh, Watching him play, I either think he's complacent, upset because he got his bag early and now he's underpaid. Maybe has a little bit of like, you know, I forget what that word is, tension with the organization. A little bit of bad feelings because they did pay up when he was young, but now he's looking at all these guys like Juan Soto about to get possibly 500, and Tatis got this, and he's sitting there. He got like $100 million deal. Um, I don't know. I just don't think he's happy in Atlanta, or he's not happy within himself. And I think something's going to come out this offseason regarding Acuna and the Braves, or Acuna in baseball. There's going to have to be some kind of change. Because the one thing you look at when someone's not happy, it's defense, things that quantify like how hard you're trying, defense and running. And Acuna has always been in the 90-something percentile speed. He's at 82. He's at 82 with 25 stolen bases in 80 games.
Yeah.
Again, this is like the Trey Turner kind of thing. You don't have 99 percentile speed and have it not show up other. He has 99 percentile speed, Acuna, 100%.
Yeah.
His speed is 82 because every other time, if he's not using it in a situation where he has to run like a stolen base, he's dogging it. I don't know. Something going on.
The running aspect might be just
Could be
overly
knee
cautious with the
injuries.
knee.
Could be. But why are they
It might
letting
be
him run? That's my thing. Then why are they letting him steal 25 and then playing the home run derby if they're cautious?
it might be more on his end. It might
Yeah.
be he doesn't feel like doing it or mentally because I mean I've never had an injury like that, but from what I've heard, that injury it affects you mentally as almost as much as it affects you physically.
100%
Because the whole
does.
time you're running, like, oh, you don't even realize you're thinking it subconsciously. You're not maybe running as hard for a ball in the gap that you'd have to dive for because you're afraid you might step funny and shred your knee.
I deal with that today. I still deal with
Yeah.
that now. So I can speak. I tore my MCL, completely blew up my knee, was on my ass for over a year, and that's absolutely true. The mental aspect was the worst part. Starting to run again was the scariest thing. Your body doesn't even let you. And even now, there are times where yes, I'm more cautious now, 100% than I used to be. So there's
Yeah.
definitely credence to that.
But no, I agree. There is something up. There definitely is something up.
The whole
I wouldn't be
Freddie
surprised.
thing, I don't know. I just think like he hasn't been happy there. It just seems like.
Yeah, no, I don't know. He did get paid early, but if if he had faith in himself, he was gonna be good. He shouldn't have signed the contract.
Yeah.
So yeah, he may be better, but he shouldn't be better because no one forced him to sign that deal.
And again,
And
I'm reaching right now. This is a hot take. There's no report that's saying he's not happy in Atlanta. This is me reaching at some things, putting some stuff together, making a conclusion, a wild conclusion, a hot take.
if you think though, there has been I mean, he did it in the playoffs a couple of years. He hit a ball that just missed being a home run, and he only got a single out of it off the wall.
Yeah.
He has his moments.
Yeah.
And I must say, watching him play the outfield, he doesn't look comfortable in right field. The series against the Mets, there were a couple balls that dropped in front of him that he was running in towards, and frankly, probably would have been caught by most outfielders. As you said, he's not doing well this year. I don't think it was for lack of effort. I think he just looked awkward getting to the ball. So I don't know what's going on. I don't. Obviously, we don't know what's going on inside his head. Maybe he is still slightly hurt and he won't tell anybody and it passes all the tests by
Yeah.
the doctors, but there's something still, and I don't know. But he definitely is not at his normal abilities that we're used to seeing him at. So,
Did you have any hot takes for this week?
I did not have any hot takes
That's perfectly fine.
because I had a feeling the weekly news would run a little bit longer.
It did,
So.
and that as it should have. It was fun. I just have one last section for him, Sean, and that's the picks to click. You good with going to that?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Sean, we have 4 this week, I believe. And as I look this up, I'm going to need you to verify because I wrote these yesterday, so some of the individual stats might have changed. Do you have access to Wi-Fi to do that? Okay. So the first question here, and again, Sean, you get a couple of these right, you could retake the lead. So be careful. How many games does the Dodgers win streak go? Is the question. Where are we at right now as far as wins? Oh, they lost last night, didn't they? That's good. Yep. There you go. I didn't see the end of the game. That's good. Okay. Sean, we got 3 questions for today. Okay?
Okay.
Let me go back to make sure that this question is also still valid. I hope none of my questions are still valid, Sean. I think everyone would probably enjoy that. It is. That's wonderful. Baltimore is now 1.5 games out of the wild card spot to Seattle. Okay. At the end of this week, is Baltimore holding an AL wild card spot?
They're a game and a half out, you said?
Game and a half out.
All right. Who are they playing this week?
They've just won a game, and Seattle and Toronto have just lost 2.
So who are they playing?
The Orioles this week are playing the Rays, who are also holding a wild card spot, who they could also catch. They're playing the Rays, right?
The Rays just took 2 out of 3 from them.
Okay, they just played the Rays. I'm sorry, I was looking at Sunday.
They're
playing
the
Blue Jays.
And the Cubs.
Blue Jays and the Cubs. Thank you.
I do not think they will be in a playoff spot as much as I want them to be.
Okay. Don't like the Debbie Downer out of you, but I'm going to say they will, because why not? Again, Sean, your pick is better. Which of these New York Yankees thumpers, Sean, will have more RBIs at the end of the? You like the word thumpers? You like that?
Yeah.
Right.
Wasn't expecting it.
Which of these New York Yankee thumpers will have more RBIs at the end of the week? Pete Alonso, which if you pick him, it's worth 3 points. 97 RBIs, or Judge, worth 1 point if you pick him and you get it right, who has 100. So Alonso down 3 RBIs, but you're picking up the chalk with 3 points if you get it right, and he has it. You want me to go first or second? I'll let you pick who answers.
You go first.
I'm going to go chalk. And I'm going to go Judge, and I'm going to go chalk.
All right. Well, I feel this is a trick question, and you're trying to do this just to pad your lead, but I'm going to go Alonso. That's what you want me to do.
Wow. That's big, though. Alonso comes back. That's a 3-point swing. The last one, probably the most important one, Sean. I actually have a bye on Tuesday. So I just got a notification during this podcast that the Crimson Hot Dogs will have their 1-season bye the first week of the season. And Thursday we will be back and ready to play. So I am playing 1 game this week, Sean. How many hits does Dan get in his hot dog season debut this Thursday? I'm gonna assume I'm gonna get 4 at bats. That's my assumption. I think that's a fair at bat per game. I'm making you go first this time.
I'm gonna say 3 hits.
3 hits. Sean thinks I'm probably going 3 for 4, which I do appreciate. I'm gonna go with 2. And you know what, Sean? If I go 2 for 2, I'm dogging the rest of the game, pal.
You're gonna Ronald Acuna it up.
I'm gonna strike out on purpose. If I get to 3 hits, I'm making sure I get a 4th at bat. And I had a hit. I'll tell you right now. I'll go with 2. I think hitting 500 is fair for my debut. But you know what? We'll see. You know what?
You will.
No, I'm gonna stay at 2. I thought about going to 4, and I don't want to be that guy. I really don't want to be that guy. I think I have a nice debut though. I'm warm. I'm heated right now, Sean. 5 for 6 in
You
my
are.
last game. 5 for 6. I'm on a heater.
I hope you're on a three hit heater.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna close it out with this. See this guy, Sean? You might know who he is actually, because
I can't.
this is Vaughn Grissom. Have you heard of him? He just came up for the Braves. He's been hitting ding dongs.
No, actually, yes, I have. Yeah, I heard him.
He was just in like high A, and they brought him all the way straight up because of an injury. Hit a homer in his first game. He's had another homer. He's been playing well. And this was one of the cards I bought in the off season of a prospect I liked. I am up now 86% on this card. I'm going to be trying to sell it possibly this week. Thank you very much. I thought that was pretty impressive. All right, God bless. We'll see you next week. Comment down below how many hits you think I get. 1 through 0. You can say
Not
0.
1, not 2, not 3, not 4.